18 strikeouts for Corey Kluber. Swing and a miss. Corey Kluber.
He is now part of baseball immortality.
Rip these shots off the bat. All right, boys. Casa De Klub, episode 1. We've got the man, the myth, the legend, Austin fucking Wells.
Bat and lead off.
Yes, sir. Bat and lead off, taking a little celebratory shot.
Here we go.
Fireball.
Here we
Kick
go.
it off.
Here we go.
Cheers.
Cheers, boys.
Oh.
Good thing that was refrigerated.
Good start. Good start.
I'm going to throw up everywhere.
All right, let's kick it off. We've got the 2020 first rounder, Pac-12 Freshman of the Year. Don't forget, Arizona Wildcat for life. Quite possibly the hairiest man east of the Mississippi.
And west.
Austin Wells, thanks for joining us, brother. I know you're busy during the season, big league life now, so thanks for coming in. We appreciate you.
Thanks for having me, guys. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure.
First thing I want to kick it off with is the little mustache you got going on. I think you've graduated from mustache to lip pillow. Is that I mean, you might have to rock that your whole career. 15-year mustache.
I think it'd be doing it a disservice to not rock it for the whole career. I mean,
Thurman Munson.
It's part of the brand at this point.
yeah, well, exactly. I think it started off as kind of a joke, like 2 years ago in the minors. Like, I think we were on like a 10-game losing streak or something, and I was like, we got to switch this up. Like, we got to do something different. So I think like 5 or 6 of us all grew mustaches, and I'd had it in the past. I had it at Arizona for Mustache March or something like that, and but yeah, it's just literally, I think it hasn't came off since.
Did anybody else's look as good as yours?
There were some dirty ones, I'll tell you that. Like, I think we let them grow for a good like 2 months, and the higher ups had to come in and tell us to clean it up a little bit.
Yeah.
You're pretty hairy though. Like, do you shave every single day around the mustache or no?
No, I mean, this is like a day and a half. Like, I shaved.
How many times has Booney had to tell you to clean it up so far?
Yeah, like is that overstepping
That's
what
a
you
whole
have
other
now?
level of dealing with the Yankees'
luckily,
facial hair policy.
Yeah, luckily there hasn't been any incidences yet, but there's, because the days that I kind of leave it a little longer, I'm not in there, so I'm kind of hiding.
Just sit at the end
I'm
of the bench
hiding
where
in
you can't
the
see
in the,
it, go
in
inside,
the midst.
get some extra work.
But there's definitely been some pregame BPs where it's like,
Pushing limits.
and I'm like, yeah, don't worry, I'm shaving before the game. I got to shower, but.
What does T say? Does Teresa like it? She gets a little tickle every time you're going for a smooch. I mean, she can't love it.
Yeah, she actually is a fan. I think she likes the full beard with the mustache better, but
take what you can get.
yeah, no.
So, what's it been like? I mean, you get drafted in 2020. Now you're finally Yankees catcher. Like, I don't think people realize how demanding that title is, like Yankees catcher. And obviously, I don't even know how heavy it is, but I've been, privileged enough to get, a scope through your lens and kind of an idea of how heavy it is. But, for you, like, kind of talk about that. I mean, playing with you in college, like, you were different. Like, first one at the field, last one to leave. And I think, something about being a Yankee is different than playing for any other team. It takes someone who can play in the biggest market, under the lights, perform under pressure, and like you've always kind of had that knack. Like first college at bat, home run. Was it first pitch or first at bat?
First at bat. Yeah.
First at bat, home run. First big league at bat, knock off Verlander. Like you've kind of just always had that knack for the big moment, and I feel like that's what makes you a perfect Yankee. Kind of talk about what it's been like just being the Yankees catcher.
Yeah, I mean, just in general, I think the catching position is a whole different sport, really. You're going out there and you're worrying about both sides of the ball, worrying about the pitching staff, and being able to go out there and have a quality at bat. So I think that kind of gets overlooked a little bit, just the amount of preparation that it takes to have success, not just at the big league level, but in general.
Yeah.
So I think just the number one thing that I really try to do is be prepared, and the level of the level that that's come to, it has taken like so much more time. Like the more games that we play, the more details that you get to be able to find with the data that we get, watching swings, watching pass outings versus these pitchers. So, I get to see Corey face some of these hitters now, and I'm like, because we have some guys that are pretty similar pitchers now. Like we got Stroman and Clark Schmidt, who kind of have a similar pitch package, and
Yeah.
I get to see how he was able to attack guys versus how they were attacking guys, and no hitter. I mean, with that pitch package, he's doing something right. So,
But it's almost like you got 13 different guys you got to prepare for each and every day.
Yep.
The lineup each day. It's not just the starter. You got the bullpen. The demands that each guy places. There's guys like Garrett who demand a lot, and there's guys who maybe are a little bit less. But I can imagine it's got to be a challenge finding your own way while also having to learn all those guys at the same time.
Definitely. Like I'm very lucky that I'm able to come up here and have Jose Trevino, who's one of the, best catchers of probably the last 5 years in the big leagues. So having him there, even having him help me before I got called up, like helping me prepare for, our pitching staff, not necessarily the other guys, but having him there to help me kind of learn what they're trying to do, which way they're trying to go with what their pitches, their approach, that helped me a lot. And then, like you said, just finding my own way with the relationships of, from Stroman to Carlos, like totally different approaches to pitching, totally different personalities. Same with Garrett, same with Clark, and then you bring in all the relievers that are on a rotation every other week we got new guys coming in, DFA, option, bringing guys
Constantly
up.
moving pieces.
Yeah, so I think the communication part of the position is like probably the sole most important thing.
Yeah.
Just getting to know guys. Like Stroman, like he has his thing that he likes to do and he wants to do. As long as I'm prepared, he has trust in my plan for that, and he's like, whatever you call, we're gonna roll with.
Yeah.
Where like with Carlos, for the most part, like it's like, I know you're doing your research, let's go over it together, and then we'll come up with a plan almost together. So it's pitcher to pitcher, and
For sure.
And I don't like what would you do as a starter to help you with your catcher, and
Yeah, I feel like when I was with guys who I'd played with for a good amount of time, it got to the point where I was more along the lines of I would do my work, they would do their work, and I would rely on, as long as I knew that they were prepared and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I had full trust, full confidence, with what they put down. I rarely shook. There's a couple times where I was like, new to the team or whatever, and it took more work to get to that point.
Yeah.
But like you said, like the communication is the biggest part of that.
Yeah.
So when you're saying that, like you're saying like Stroman will be like you guys don't even meet before the game with someone like that about what you're going to call. He's just saying like, I trust you and what you've done. Like what you're saying, like you wouldn't talk with your catchers before the games if you had that relationship.
So we would have a pregame meeting, but it would mostly just be kind of them going over a game plan with me, not me leading it. I would get my own way if I would do that. I was always better if I could just go out there, whatever number he puts down, I feel like I should be able to execute that and, trust that he's got a reason why he's calling it.
Are there some guys that shake more than others, like that you've, like, are there, I mean.
We have Luis Hill.
He's been on fire.
King of the Hill.
Mm-hmm.
Loves to shake.
He's a shake man. Like, and he doesn't do it because he doesn't want to throw the pitch. He's just totally like.
There's definitely pitchers who think those like mind games. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
What is as a hitter, like you go out there. I mean, the guy throws 100 with decent secondary stuff, and he's shaking 5 times.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
I'm already behind the 8 ball here. Now what am I gonna do?
No, exactly. Like even I'm catching, I'm like, fastball, no. Slider, no. Changeup, no.
What else you got?
Fastball, no. Changeup, yes. And I'm like, okay. I was like, I hope this is actually gonna be a changeup.
Yeah.
So, yeah, definitely as a hitter. I mean, with a fastball like his too, I mean, I'm just glad I don't have to face him.
Right.
Like he's
There's
electric.
so many of those guys nowadays, though.
Oh yeah, like every team has 1 or 2 guys where it's like, if they have any sort of secondary, like
Good luck.
Yeah, good luck.
The Yankees were one of the first teams to kind of like get ahead of the curve in terms of like they really, like the lineouts, like things like that, like the stats that they look at, like I don't say rewarded. Obviously, you don't want to line out, but like playing for the Yankees, like they pay attention to that stuff, like
Contact quality.
Yeah.
All that.
Yeah, we have probably one of the more advanced analytic departments in sports, and has been for a while. So they have their models on, what they think makes a hitter successful and what results they look for, regardless of actual results like batting average and that stuff. So, we get a lot of good, like, not projected stuff, but it's all relevant, and the quality of the contact, the swing decisions, the angle of the launch, like it all adds into like this formula for them that they, they take to whatever they're evaluating a player at. And so, if you're lining out at 105 to center fielder every time, like that's going to be great for them. It's obviously going to suck for you, but they're not going to be like, yeah, this guy's not a good hitter because he's hitting 150. Like, this guy's a good hitter. He just needs to maybe change the launch, not hit it at the center fielder. But, like...
Yeah, it's got to be. I mean, some people probably, it helps them a lot. I mean, for me, those analytics coming up probably hurt me. They're like, holy shit, this dude hits the ball fucking 84. Like...
As a player, though, like as analytics became more of a thing, I always struggled with hearing about the way teams start to analyze things now, like you talk about, if you have 5 games in a row where you line out at 105 to the center fielder, you're 0 for 15. But in their minds, it's like, okay, over the course of 162 games, that'll play out type deal. But as a player in the moment, it's like it's not 162 games; it's one game 162 times. So it's hard to come to terms with like the analytics department's mindset a lot of times on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I really want to just like throw my iPad through the wall sometimes, like looking at that stuff. It's like, oh, you're doing great. All these numbers are great. I'm like, well, my numbers aren't great. Like, how do we fix that? Yep. And it's just like, keep doing what you're doing. Like, over the span of time, it's going to play out. Like, you have some of the best swing decisions in the whole game right now. Like, all this stuff. Like, I'm like, that's great, but it's not really paying off for me right now.
I need results now.
Yeah, and it's not like I'm playing a position where I'm going to play 162.
Right.
Like,
right.
It's the catching positions to evolve to where it's sort of a platoons type, like
almost exclusively everywhere. Yeah. There's not many everyday, so to speak, catchers anymore.
I think there was like 5 to 8 catchers who caught over 100 games last year. Like, so for that to get into a groove and to find your rhythm, like we've done, and like every level coming up, like even in the minor leagues, playing 5 out of 6 every week, catching 4.
You were a priority to get consistent at bats.
Exactly. So I was able to work through and find success quicker because I'm getting that more consistent, like you're saying, over 162 games. It's going to play out where it's a little more spaced out now. So it's like I get days in between where I'm like,
do you feel different, like when you get back off after a couple of days not playing? Like when you see a couple pitches, are you like, damn, like this is not the same as playing?
Yeah, definitely. I noticed it really for the first time this last week, actually. I had caught a lot the week before in Baltimore. Caught 3 out of 4. Caught the first one in Detroit, and then didn't catch the 2-day games. Had an off day, and then didn't catch the first game of the Houston series. And it was 4 days without seeing pitching. And, I still try to go into the cage, and we have the traject machine, which is, replicating the pitcher and the pitches, and took some at-bats off that. But my first at-bat...
It's not the same, right?
My first at-bat on Wednesday, I was like, all right. My eyes were just a little... I felt like I was in a great place. Had 4 days off, and I was like, okay, I got to kind of get going
again. Lock
it
back in again,
Yeah.
It's also like you get 2 hits in a game, and then it's like you want to feed off that. You're not playing. It's like almost like ground zero on that day 3. Feels like I didn't even play.
I feel like you find a rhythm, right? Like you're like, okay, I got 3 ABs today. I had 3 quality at bats. I saw the ball really well. I'm facing a guy tomorrow I know I'm going to get, and then maybe you're not in there, and you're like, all right, well now I got to just kind of let that sit for a little bit.
Feels like a missed opportunity almost, right?
Exactly. Like you just want to let it sit You don't want to sit. You want to go out there and be able to go do it because you're like, oh, I felt that today and it felt really good.
And reinforce it.
So
do it again the next day.
So you try to go out there and then try to do it in BP, or you try to like. It's not the same. Like you said, you know, like the same as like throwing a bullpen, throwing like it's not the same. You want to
can't
go out.
replicate
Yeah.
it, no.
And as a starter, you have 4 or 5 days in between. Like,
Mm-hmm.
like for you, how would that go start to start for you?
I feel like if I was in a good spot, I'd almost have to put the governor on between, like not to throw too much, not to work, like because you, like you said, you want to ride it out, you want to reinforce those good feelings, those good vibes, and you know you can sometimes dig yourself in a hole. Like if you were to go hit, 100 balls off the trajectory on the day you're off, that's going to have a negative effect the next day.
For sure, I did that. I was sore.
Yeah.
Yeah, didn't feel very good the next day.
It's a mental battle though, because I want to feel good, but at the same time, I gotta pull it back, to make sure that I'm ready for tomorrow or the next day or whenever.
Yeah, and it's just like so close. You're like, it's right there. I can feel it. It's right there. I just want to get there.
It's never as good as it seems. It's never as bad as it seems.
No.
But in the moment, I mean,
it's both of those.
Yeah,
it's both sides.
So growing up, I mean, I know you guys were more athletic than all your peers. That's not a secret. Dad Greg played at Arizona. Mom Michelle was a gymnast at Arizona. Brother Carson, baseball at USC.
Yep.
He could be the next John Summit, DJ Tiesto. he's a Swiss Army knife, and then we got Mason rounding it out at TCU. Was it like, when did it sink in that all three of you were going to follow in your parents' footsteps? And did Michelle and Greg ever push for that, or would they have been happy if you guys were giving your all to music? If you were an avid musician, like did they just stress hard work, give it your all, have fun, or did you guys always think you were going to follow in their footsteps and round it out? Because that's five college athletes in your family.
Yeah, honestly, like my parents were the best with that. Like they never pushed anything like on us, and like that allowed us to just kind of push ourselves into whatever we wanted to do. Like for me it was always baseball. Excuse me. For me it was always baseball, and like that was something that I really wanted to do.
Yeah.
And it was never pushed on me. And for Carson, it was pretty much the same. And then my younger brother, like, he's like, screw you guys, I'm not doing baseball. Like, I want to do my own thing. And my parents were like, all right, well, what do you want to do? So he did football, he did lacrosse, and then he stuck with lacrosse and now plays at TCU. But I don't think there was like this, we want to go out there and play D1 sports like our parents did. Like, we were just having fun, like playing.
Yeah, it was natural.
And it just happened to work out that way, and now we're like all in this situation where we're playing and doing school, doing baseball, like, and none of it's forced. And my parents are like still so great. They're just like, yeah, we're just gonna come hang out, watch your games, like no big deal, like, which is awesome.
It's definitely not the norm nowadays.
No, yeah, definitely. I mean,
kids are pressured so much to do things so often.
Yeah,
So young,
you
too.
got 4 kids, like.
Yeah.
Are you going to force them to be Cy Young pitchers? No,
Let them
right?
let them do what they want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, I mean, I think
Unless-
there's parents who get wrapped up in the whole, somebody's telling them this, they got to do this, and they feel like they're letting their kid down if they're not, and a lot of people might not know any better.
It's usually the people that didn't play, though, the parents.
Right.
Like, how's Corey? I mean, he knows what it's like. Like, he's not going to expect his son to just be a 2-time Cy Young Award winner. Like, your dad played in college, my dad played in college. Like, he never yelled at me. Like, you're not trying to strike out.
Right.
A lot of these dads that yell, like, it's just they've never played. They've never done it. They don't know how hard it is.
My dad yelled at me.
I will say, when I first started to meet Greg, like, very intimidating.
That's the number one, like, people's response to, like, meeting him. Like, especially, like, our age, like, younger. In high school, it was like, yeah, I'm good. I don't want to I don't want to meet your dad. Just because they knew, like, hearing from, honestly, it's more from us, honestly, because we just tell them, like, how strict they are, and they were really strict in high school. Like, there was no fucking around, honestly. Like, and, we had some leeway, and we got to test the limits and get in trouble and get grounded, and, that happened a few times and learned our lesson. But I think it really hit me when we came back from our freshman year at Arizona, came back for winter break. It hit me like, wow, like I was so much more prepared for that freshman year than 99% of the kids at that school, because my parents held me to such a high standard, which allowed me to hold myself to a high standard.
No doubt.
So then I was able to go back, like, and be like, thank you,
yeah.
thank you for being so, like, strict with me and, like, keeping me on, you know, this path, because, like, it helped me a lot.
It teaches you a level of discipline that probably a lot of other kids, you know, in that stage, being away from home for the first time, you know, it's almost like free reign. I'm going to try this, I'm going to try this, I'm going to try this, because they've never really been held accountable, probably.
Yeah. I mean, we were living in the dorms, and there's people running around with their hair on fire, like, 24/7, 7 days a week, and you see these kids, like, just totally fan out within, like, 2 or 3 weeks of school starting.
Yeah, those were some fun times. There was it's like everyone's like, oh, you can be, what is it? You can be great at 2, but you can be good at 3 in terms of academics, athletics, social life. We were about as close as it gets to great at all 3, minus me in the baseball. But
I would say, like, the sophomore, like, it was almost like freshman year. It was like I was basically not trying to prove myself, but I was trying to prove, like, myself when I go out there, and
it's probably not different to the situation you're in now. Like, you know, you got some exposure last year, but now it's like your first full season, and
oh yeah,
you know, you don't really feel like you can. I can imagine you don't feel like you can let loose and fully, you know, embrace it, because you feel like you're auditioning every day.
yeah, and 100%, and, like, you're also around a new group of guys who you don't know, like, how they feel about kind of letting loose in certain ways, and you're trying to navigate that.
Feel out of the room.
So for me, freshman year, it was like, I want to prove myself, and I'm not going to leave, like, anything to question of, like, I went out and did this, that's why I didn't perform, that's why I'm not playing.
Yeah.
Like, and I kind of took that from my, like, senior year, because my senior year of high school, I blew out my UCL, so I was on, like, this, like, health, like, I was like, I'm just going to do everything I possibly can to make sure that I'm physically 100%. So, like, I was like, not going out, not doing anything, just focus on working out and feeling good, basically.
Yep.
And then took that into the summer, where we played together for the Puff Caps.
damn, he was
Puff
Puff
Caps.
Caps.
Yeah,
way
what was
better.
it? What was it?
It was the
Pacific Union Financialists.
It was like a bank was our team
Okay.
sponsor. This
Like
dude
a
that was
Little
like a
League when you got
billionaire. Yeah.
Donato's Pizza or whatever on your back.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the logo was like this on our jersey. We were literally like,
Coco Figueredo. Humboldt Crabs.
yeah. Wow, that's a crazy name drop.
We had a like end of that summer. I think that was our last when we got hit by the barrel on the highway. Was that our last series?
Yeah,
Like
that
we were
was-
finally going home.
Team bus.
We were
We were in a
driving
bus. It was
yourself.
like a van.
we were in the
Team
Sprinter
van.
vans. We had 2 Sprinter vans, and we were coming back from Humboldt, California, down to San Jose. Right, we were like right around Stanford area, and it's literally a 2-lane like highway through the hills, basically. And you know, we're in this Sprinter van, and this truck comes along with a flatbed, like a big probably like 18-wheeler type truck, and this pipe is on the back of it, and comes around this bend, and we're coming like this, rolls off the back of the truck.
Watch it in slow motion.
Literally, like,
Boom, boom.
I just could feel it, and my head was on this window, and I, like, opened my eyes, and I see bounce, boom, smashed our van. Like, the whole, like, roll bar on the side just completely dented in on the driver's side, glass everywhere. The truck just kept driving, had no idea.
No idea.
Right? Like, had
Yeah.
no idea. It didn't stop for, like, 2 or 3 miles. Someone, like, chased him down who was behind him.
Yeah. You lost
And-
something back there.
Yeah, like, it was definitely scary. Like,
Well, Holgate's in the back. He's mooning the cars behind us
Yeah.
while we get hit by this barrel.
Yeah.
And then we pull over. Yeah, I mean, the van was shattered. We had to get picked up in the middle of nowhere, Northern California.
we were in the middle of nowhere.
We got dudes taking nature shits, like wiping their ass with leaves because we're just stuck in the middle of nowhere. It was the most summer ball thing ever.
Yeah, we were actually stuck. That was a trip.
Yeah, it was.
But that kind of summarized that whole summer, though. It was just like, kind of just throw it together, go play, and like
Just, yeah.
do
what it
whatever,
takes to play
really.
ball,
Yeah.
right.
And which was really cool, I think, for us. Like, it was like, because we got to be around a group of guys who are all going about to do the same thing. Like,
Sure.
we're on our own, but not really yet. And we're learning how to play baseball at a little bit of a higher level. And it was just such a rowdy group of guys, honestly. Like, there was a lot of high tea going on around.
Way
that
too many
group.
characters.
Yeah. And, yeah, a lot of
How did
caffeine.
that compare to the next summer going to the Cape? I mean, completely different circumstances, right?
Way different.
It was definitely, like, honestly, summer ball was probably the greatest summers that I've ever had.
Yeah.
Like, getting to go do that. I don't know if, like, you were able to play.
I was supposed to. I threw too much and didn't get to.
I
I
figured
feel
as
like
a
it was one of those
pitcher.
experiences I wish I would have had.
Oh, yeah. Like, just the guys coming off the season, there's just such an unserious, like, vibe to summer ball that you don't get. Like, it's like almost like you're just like playing travel ball without the coaches, without the parents, and you're just like with your buddies, like, and everyone just becomes like boys immediately, like, because you don't have a choice.
Immediately? Are you sure? Because first week, this guy hits an inside the park home run, like, winded, obviously, runs around the bases, scores. My dumbass 18-year-old, I jump on him. He hits an inside the park grand slam. He looked at me, he was like, "Don't ever do that again." I was like, "Yes, sir." That was like the first. I was like, "What the fuck? I'm going to play with this kid." He just body slammed me. Like 2 weeks later, we were all right. But that happened.
I was definitely blacked out. Like, I remember.
You were used to him going over the fence, not
Yeah,
having
I
to sprint around the
had to
bases.
sprint around the bases, and I come in. I don't even have oxygen rounding second base, so I got to home and I was about to pass out, and like everyone was jumping on me, and then he jumped on my back, and I like felt myself like buckle, and I was like, "Get off me!" And I obviously didn't know who it was, but turned and it was Tyler, and I was like, "Shit!" Like, after I was like, "Damn, I feel bad," but
I gotta go.
that's a
live
good
with this
story.
guy.
yeah, he. I mean, you hit it into like a park. There was no fence. He just hit it over the right fielder's head, and it just rolled
Just keep
for
going.
days.
He's got to go chase it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you could have walked home.
Like, I always say, like, obviously getting drafted, like, the best thing to happen, and it's amazing. But when I was in low A here in Tampa, like 110 degrees at game time, and they're in the
Watching
College
them
World Series,
like, man, maybe I'm not in the right spot.
I was like, wow.
Well, so the thing is like the next year, like you're playing in high A against the kids that were in Omaha. I remember you
Exactly.
telling me that. You're like, dude, like I kind of like I could have just like I could have been in the same position, but obviously looking back, it worked out great for you. You shouldn't
Yeah,
look at it like that. But I always just thought it was wild. I remember when you tell me that, you're like, dude, I like can't believe like I missed the World Series.
Yeah, it was like they took, like, the COVID year, and they were like, we just want you to play.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter, like, where. Like, just
Yep.
play. And we had a really, really good team. Like, we had Volpe. We had a couple other big leaguers on the team who are now on other teams. But, like, we were rolling. Like, our first week, I think we outscored the team, like, 120 to, like, 20 in 6 games. Like, we came out, like, hot. But to his point, like, there was definitely a part of me where I was like, I could have been at the College World Series, gotten drafted, and been right where I was.
Yeah.
Like, which is crazy to think. But that's kind of the transition it took. Like, after that year, it was like the college guys just were now going to high A after I went, like, to low A for that year. And it still now is like all the guys from last year got drafted high A. Like,
I do feel like things are sped up now.
Mhm.
And, you know, when guys get drafted, especially early on, I think teams do a better job of forcing the issue and getting those guys prepared quickly to play at the big league level. Whereas I think it used to be, you're going to take your time, you're going to go to every level, you know, you're going to put your time in, regardless of how good you're doing. We're not going to call you up until a certain point in time. And I'm not sure why, but I think teams are better now at, like, making sure guys progress quickly. And if they're good enough, get them up there.
The craziest part is if you and Anthony had been a little worse at baseball, you guys would have played against each other in the College World Series because we played Vanderbilt, and it was the first game because COVID was the year before, so there was no World Series.
Yep.
This was the first World Series game in 2 years, and it was the night game, first day against Kumar Rocker.
Yeah.
I mean,
Volpe would have been
he would have been a
sophomore. Well,
Sophomore.
red shirt freshman.
he would have redshirted.
The COVID red shirt.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, maybe he would have redshirted. Maybe he wouldn't have been good enough. But I
Yeah,
mean,
if he's going to Vanderbilt.
yeah. No, I'm just kidding. But I mean, looking back at that, if Austin had been on our team, I wouldn't have been playing because we had our catcher when Austin left was also a first rounder. So one of you would have been catching. Dan would have been DHing. My ass would have been watching on the bench. So thank you. Appreciate it.
I need to know, Corey, what was your minor league from getting drafted? Like Stetson drafted.
I was terrible. I mean,
Okay.
I went to short season after getting drafted. Did so in short season. Got called up to high for the playoffs. Didn't pitch at all. Started the
win?
next year. No, we lost in the championship series to San Jose, who's the Giants affiliate, and they had like 4 big leaguers rehabbing.
Classic.
During the.
That's BS.
I don't know. I mean, they also had like 4 future big leaguers, so I don't think it really mattered either way.
They're pretty good.
Posey was there, Bumgarner was there. Like It wasn't. Yeah,
Nice.
It wasn't a fair fight.
So you're glad you didn't pitch.
Yeah, I would have been worse as a minor leaguer. But started the next year in high. Got sent down to low A. Went back up to high at the end of the year. Spent a half year there, half year in double A. Started the next year in double A, then got traded. Spent parts of 3 years in triple A. Only really had one good half in triple A. But I think the one good thing for me was that I could miss bats, and the Indians valued that. So when they traded for me, that was kind of. I don't think it wasn't a big trade in their mind, but that was what they saw in me.
For you, it was big though.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what? So you debuted when you were 25?
I would have been
26?
26.
26?
Mm-hmm.
How did you, going from getting drafted, like how did you feel about, like you said, going up and going down, getting traded? Like, what, at that point in your career, like, what is your thoughts there? Like, what were you like, man, like, what is going on?
Yeah, I think I always had, like, the blinders on, so to speak. Like, I didn't try to get too, obviously there were moments where I was like, man, I just got sent down. Like, I'm not going to make it, this and that. But didn't try to look too far ahead in terms of, like, what's this going to mean? What's that going to mean? But I do think there were multiple times, even as a big leaguer when I struggled at first, where it was a challenge to not get too down on yourself. You talk about you're playing 162 games or 140 games in the minors, and especially starting pitcher, you got those days in between to just sit there and wallow in your misery when things aren't going well. But no, I mean it's everybody's got their own way of dealing with the challenge and stuff. Mine was always just to try to like work my way through it.
Yeah, that's really the only thing you can do.
Yeah.
So draft day, unreal day. We had it was awesome being there. He had a couple hundred people just waiting on the side of his house street, like watching the feed on their phones while the 6 of us are in the room. We had a camera on us because it was MLB Network.
Yeah.
We got fitted in those swaggy
Pretty cool
ass
how
suits.
they do the draft now.
It was sick. Did you know? What did you know? I've never asked you this. Like, how confident were you? Because I remember during the draft, you got called a couple picks before the Yankees, and you pretty much were you like, no, I want to be a Yankee? Did you know that if you were at 28 when the Yankees were picking, they were gonna pick you going into that day? Like, what did you know that morning? Because you kept it so cool. Like, you didn't say shit. We had no idea what was gonna happen.
Well, I mean, I didn't really know. I mean, you have ideas, right? Like, and then this draft starts to unfold, and guys get picked, teams take different guys, someone becomes available in a certain pick, so, we had a few, kind of lanes where it was these couple teams are strongly interested, these couple teams are strongly interested, and so that day kind of just went in if we get to a certain point, you're going to get taken, fairly confident in that. It was whatever, in the comp round, like the Tigers or something like that was like.
If you get there, you're yeah.
They're probably like gonna definitely take you.
Which is that the first day though, or no? Is that what that have been?
That's first day. Like the first round competitive balance picks or whatever is like right after. But yeah, I guess like leading up to it, like I had meetings with, you know, some of the scouting directors and the teams like on Zoom and stuff because it's COVID and whatnot. But yeah, that day woke up like just free balling it, honestly. Like had nothing to lose and was like, we're gonna have a fun day either way. And
did we go shoot guns?
Yeah, we went out in the desert and like, you know, went shooting and Mom made a bunch of pancakes. And
it was like a normal day.
Just take your mind off of it.
Yeah, it was a total like.
Don't sit there and obsess over it.
The boys were over. We had a good weekend. Like
Tyler and everybody else is probably obsessing over it. But
and then he gets picked and like, oh my god, dude, it was mayhem. We had shirts right away,
Yeah,
Yankees hats, like a couple hundred people just flooded in right away. It was unreal.
Yeah, it was sick. And I know he had said like, didn't he bring like you guys together and was like, we don't know what's gonna happen today. Like
yes, he did. I forgot about that.
What did he say there?
Greg pulled us aside and was like, we have no idea what's gonna happen. Like, let's just be there for him. Whatever happens, we're gonna have a good night, pretty much. And we were like, yeah, it's gonna be good. But there was always this feeling like you were gonna be a Yankee. Like you were like the perfect fit to be a Yankee. Like the way you
drafted you out of high
operated.
school too, right? Yeah,
they did, huh?
Yeah, like so I knew that they really liked me, and you know Damon Oppenheimer is the scouting director over there. Like I got to spend a lot of time with him in the Cape too. Like he loves being out there and loves being at YD, which is the team I played for. So you know, he got to see me play a lot.
Pieces kind of fit along the way.
Yeah, and so I had a few extra meetings with them too as like it got closer, and I could kind of feel like that. And then, you know, agent was just like, you know, there's these teams, but then once it started firing away, we got to like, I think the first catcher taken was Patrick Bailey to the Giants at like 14 or something like that, and like that was one of the spots where we like could be possible. And after that, I was like, okay, we're good for a couple picks. Then we got to like 19, 20. It was like, or the Guardians now, whatever.
A's, baby, little sods.
Yep.
T-sode.
Yep. And we got to, but then we got there, and the Rays at 24 called, and we're like, we want to take you at 24. And I was like, all right. And I asked my agent, I was like, well, what are the Yankees doing at 28? And so they called the Yankees, and they were like, we're going to take him at 28 if, you know, if he passes on the Rays.
Yeah.
And I was like,
fuck the Rays.
basically. I was like, I want to be a Yankee. So,
yeah,
that was, and I always remember my mom, like, she was like, I felt like I was going to pass out when you turned down going at pick 24.
Yeah.
She was like, I couldn't believe it. Like, it was like, this is crazy. And
I couldn't either.
Position of power to be in, though, in the draft, to know that, like, somebody wants you here, but you can say no because you know somebody else wants you soon after.
But don't you hear that stuff happening? Like a team will be like, yeah, we're going to take you, and like they might not, or no.
Yeah.
So like that was ballsy. Like you said no. You you wait your whole life to get drafted, and you're like, no, I'm going to wait 4 picks. Like,
yeah, and like going to the Rays could have been great, but saying no to them doesn't mean the next 3-4 teams between the Yankees were going to not take me. Yeah, like we were just sitting there, like kind of hoping they weren't going to take me because you know we had the deal with the Yankees going on, and then I know like if the Yankees had passed, the Dodgers were going to take me at the next pick. So
Right.
29.
Yeah, so in that slot of teams, I knew like
Something was going to happen right in there. Yeah.
Like after like it was like 24 up, it was like we're like hot basically like through that zone. So which is pretty cool.
Little funny Jay story. Circling back to Jay, we lost to our freshman year. We didn't make the playoffs.
First team out basically.
Yeah, we were the first team out, but like we put ourselves in a situation where I think we won like 12 of our last 13 games or something like that, and we still didn't get in.
Yeah, and the one loss was Arizona State.
In like middle of the year, we get swept at ASU. We're getting absolutely reamed on the field after ASU. Like the lights turn off. It was probably like an hour and a half yell. Like after the game, like we get
They turned the lights off on us
for an hour and a half, and like Jay in front of the entire team, Like, he looked at us and he's like, I am so sorry, man. He's like, I fucking failed you. I am so sorry. I told you to come to college.
Together around you.
And I was just like, oh my God, like, he's that much better than us?
It was crazy. You see, like we were talking before this, it was like my brain, like when you bring something up, like I don't really like, I'll remember it like after, like I never would like have brought that up or remember that. But now that he says that, like that was one of the more like, my like body just got hot when he said that in front of everybody. I was like, oh,
why me?
Yeah, I was like, why? Like, you're just roasting everybody for an hour. Like, then you're gonna say you're like sorry for putting this team together, like, and convincing me to go to Arizona. Like, I was like, oh.
How did that happen? Because he was committed to Stanford in high school.
I was gonna ask, with your parents both going there, did you always want to go to Arizona, or how did that play out?
Yeah. So when I decommitted, Jay obviously was on the jump like right away.
Yeah.
I decommitted from Stanford, and Jay was like, I want you here. We're going to make this happen for you to be able to come in and play right out of the gate. And I was like, that sounds good to me. I was like, yeah, I'll come down there. I'll meet with you, blah, blah, blah. And then I reopened negotiations with USC.
Yeah.
And both times I left there, I just knew that wasn't really where I wanted to be.
Being
like,
at school didn't feel right.
Yeah, just like the school is great, it's beautiful, but just where it was at, like not something I wanted to put myself into. So, Arizona was open, like a lot of space. I got there and like was like, this is
felt right.
This is somewhere I could definitely spend, 4 years or whatever it is. And so I got there and I walked in, and Jay had a full like PowerPoint presentation put up on the thing. It was like a 3-year plan 2-year plan.
2-year plan.
Because he knew I was sophomore eligible. It was 3 year. Yeah, he was 3-year plan. He did a 3-year plan.
He wanted you for 3 years.
Yes, he wanted me for 3 years. He said, I literally remember now in the presentation, I think it was like sophomore eligible, but year 3.
10 more slides.
It was like sophomore summer, play for Team USA. Junior fall, like do this. Junior season, win the College World Series, and then it was like then get drafted.
Right.
And he was like, "This is this is our plan. This is what we want from you. This is what you're like. We see you doing here for us. We want you to come be the guy." And I was like, I got in the car with my dad. It was me and my dad. We flew in like on a weekday, like just to come see him.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad was like, "So what do you think?" And I was like, "Yeah, I think that was pretty good." He's like, "Yeah, I'd say so." And I was like, "All right, let's go.
Let's do it."
But yeah,
I got fucking Burger King. They took me to Burger King.
What?
They were like, they did. Sergio Brown.
Sergio.
I was already committed there, and we got to the to U of A, and like my dad and I get there. He took us to fucking Burger King at the student union.
That was your mistake. You committed before the visit.
He was like, you can
gotta-
be our
you gotta play your
14th
cards.
man, and we'll take you to Burger King. I was like, all right.
You're like, all right, I'm in.
Like post COVID, right after Austin gets drafted, like my first time going to Vegas was for his draft party, but none of us were 21. You were 20, right? Or
Yeah.
No, you weren't 21 yet.
No,
It was June draft.
No, it was July.
It was July, so you were 21 and none of us were.
I turned 21 within 30 days of the draft.
Yeah. So anyway.
Yeah, maybe it was the end of June. Whatever.
Regardless, we didn't go out or
Was
anything in Vegas after he gets
Was
drafted.
that the photo I saw of you on the runway the day after?
So that's what I was getting into. Like,
No, that's his
his like
21st birthday.
2 months later, I come back out to Vegas for my 21st, and like my dad invites 8 of his buddies. I invite 8 of my buddies. I mean, I just need to hear from your perspective.
Mic down.
What like that? I mean, you grew up in Vegas, but that trip was unreal. We were part of a $500,000 weekend. Like we
robbed Vegas.
Yeah, we robbed Vegas. One of my dad's buddies
Not
won
many people do that.
No,
$450K.
hasn't happened since.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably not.
And he was just passing out like 10 $5,000 chips to us, and I think by the end of the weekend, like every one of the younger guys, all 8 of us were up like 15K.
Yeah,
It was crazy.
it was crazy.
Like we're down at the high limit in robes.
No one
like,
even realized, I don't think, what was actually happening at the time.
In the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just
You
like,
can't
oh, this is
process
how it
it.
goes? Oh. Because it was like almost every single guy's first experience in Vegas.
Yeah.
Like,
Doing Vegas.
yeah. And so we'd wake up, gamble, go to the pool, gamble, get ready for dinner, gamble, till 3, 4 a.m., wake up, do the same thing again for 3 days straight.
Just running the place.
Yeah. I don't really have a lot of stories 'cause I don't really remember a lot of it.
Those are the best ones.
Yeah. I just remember you guys left to go to the pool, and I stayed on the roulette table for like an hour and a half, and I called Preston, and I was up like 15,000, and I was like, dude, or he called me, and I answered. I was like, what's up? And he's like, where are you? We're at the pool. We're having Miami Vices and pina coladas. Like, what are you doing? And I was like, oh, I'm just at the roulette table. I'm up 15,000. And he thought I said I was down 15,000. He just hangs up.
Ran.
And, like, he came.
What a guy.
He, like, came and he was like, what are you doing? And he was pretty intoxicated. He's like, you idiot. What are you doing? And I was like, look at my chips. What do you think I'm doing? I was like, what do you think?
I'm winning.
Yeah. And he was like, dude, I thought you said you were down. He was like, yeah, fuck yeah.
You were the only one with like real money like that.
We were thrown out, yeah. for that weekend, it was Wednesday night Halloween party, Thursday night Halloween party, Friday night we just went out, Saturday night Halloween party, and then Sunday I think we were like, we kind of got to keep it going, and it was just kind of a half-assed like, all right, we're not gonna actually do this,
Yeah.
but we had it. So every night we went out. The next day, I hit a homer, like. Wednesday night got hammered, Thursday night homer, Thursday night hammered, Friday homer, Saturday
Probably hammered. Probably homer.
2 homers. Yeah.
So what you're getting at is tonight you're getting hammered, tomorrow night 2 tanks, and I'll call it a day.
I think I might need to change this mojo around, but
That was kind of where we were at. We were just living the dream. Best years of our lives. Well, for you, you got some good years coming up here, but
yeah, to that point it definitely was. That was the most exciting time of my life.
yeah, it was.
No doubt. I need to know though, how was Stetson?
I don't have any stories about people scaling walls or anything like that.
But like, do you guys have a football team?
I mean, they do now, but it's kind of like, it would be like your high school football team, I'm pretty sure.
They had Daytona Beach though. That was what, 20 minutes from you guys?
Yeah, Daytona was close. Baseball was like the sport, though. Like, there wasn't, people didn't go to football games and like hang out. Like, baseball was a sport that like people went to like go hang out at. So I missed out on that.
So you had nowhere to go hang out because you were playing.
Well, yeah, like the party, like, yeah. Nobody went to basketball games back then. Nobody went to soccer games, anything like that.
So there was no partying at Stetson.
No, there was plenty of partying, just at like bars and stuff like that. But like, there
Oh.
wasn't like sporting events for baseball players to go like party at.
We were different.
Did we go to sporting events?
No, we. I feel
Not in
like
basketball. I mean,
I've told Corey
I didn't go
this.
to a basketball game once.
no.
I feel like we kind of like with the other male sports teams. Like I feel like we kind of just like competed for
Yeah.
the girls. Like we didn't really like.
We did.
It was baseball parties,
There was
and then we
some-
go to the bars, but we wouldn't really like.
There were some fun altercations about it too. That was fun. We've had some good times.
Yeah, we've had some good times. One question I had for you: do you feel like the point in your life now, like, have you had to cut people out of your life that you feel like aren't going to get you to the place you want to be? I feel like your circle's pretty small. Like, are you conscious of that?
I think it just naturally kind of happens, honestly. Like, it just kind of phases. Like, you know, the guys who you're close with in high school, at least this is for me, like, as soon as I left, it kind of faded, like, for the most part. I was still close with Tizzy, but that's really the only guy that I really still talk to from Vegas. And then college, I have a couple buddies still, but, like, for me, it just kind of naturally takes its course with everything. Like, luckily, I've had a lot of good people around me where I haven't had to, like, kind of tell people to F off or anything, but, you know, there's definitely guys, like, that have people in their lives that need to. Like, you can see it, like, you know what I mean? Like, and it's definitely that's a tough road to navigate when you have someone who maybe you've had around you your whole life,
For sure.
who's maybe still living like you're in high school or still living like you're in college, and you're in such a different space mentally, and like you have a family, or like you're just different stages of life.
Yep.
I feel like it naturally just kind of fades that way. Like, I don't know about you, if you have any.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, I think if you know where you want to be, where you want to get to, then the people that don't kind of line up with that or want to live their lives differently, you know, things don't match up, and you just kind of over time part ways.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys both have good head on your shoulders, though. Like, you probably you set yourself up nice. You weren't hanging around people who weren't going to get you to the place you needed to be. But
Well, and you can tell.
yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, though, like you're doing something different than most people. So like you do have to be conscious about the people that are in your life. You got to surround yourself with good people. So I was just curious if you've ever hit a roadblock where you feel like you had to cut people out, but you know, more natural.
Yeah, no. Which is nice. I think that's a good thing.
For sure.
When you can avoid confrontation, I think that's always good.
Yeah, I don't.
Tell me, Corey, about your playoff experience.
Had a really good first year in the playoffs and really shit after that.
Like what? So your guys' run for
Mhm.
in the World Series, like how, like, because I have a little tiny fragment of experience of
Yeah.
being in a clubhouse like at this level, and like when the playoffs come around, like how does it change? How does it like
I mean,
level up?
The intensity kicks up, you know, multiple notches. Probably each round it kicks up, but I think the more successful teams, really the one successful team that I've been on in the postseason, was when guys didn't make too much of it. Like, you're aware of, you know,
Yeah.
more intensity, more on the line, things like that, but it didn't change the way we went about things. I think almost after 2016, when we went to the World Series, we didn't know any better. And then after that point, we went to postseason after that, in Cleveland at least, I almost felt like we felt a sense of pressure that we had to live up to that expectation, try to do more, try to change things. And I think that the more, like anything, the more you can keep it the same, keep it normal, you know, not let the stage get too big, that's when things really click. And I mean, I never experienced postseason in New York, other than, you know, a one-game playoff, but I can imagine it's a different ballgame there too. You know, you got the lights in New York are brighter than anywhere else in April, let alone
Yeah.
October.
Yeah, I can only imagine. Like,
It's fun though. There's nothing else you'll do in the big leagues that's more fun than the playoffs.
yeah, like hearing you say like you don't want to make it too big of a deal, like I feel like that's super hard. Like, especially like as a team maybe that's not expecting to be in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
Like, does that make it better almost? Because you're just like,
Yeah, it's almost like that.
Like, fuck
nothing
it, we're-
to lose.
yeah.
Like, yeah.
and
Yeah,
then
we
like you said,
we had a ton of injuries going into the playoffs, you know, wrote off before the playoffs kind of started, sort of thing. Whereas there's probably more expectations other years. But yeah, I mean, I think that, like you said, it's hard to do, but realizing that it's the same game, it's 60 feet 6 inches, 90 feet from base to base. You know, it's the same thing. It's just, I guess the
stakes are,
there's fewer teams competing for it.
yeah.
Slow the game down.
How many times did you face the Cubs that year in the season?
That
At
season,
all.
I don't think I pitched against them in the regular season.
And then you faced them. You were, what were you, 2-7, 1-7, 5,
4-7.
1-4-7.
You went 3 games.
Savage.
One too many.
Do you think like not? Do you think that gives you an advantage, like not having faced them and then going in their game 1 and you're like,
Maybe some. But I think the tables had turned by the time we got to Game 7.
you
I
think
never
they-
asked Riz about it, but I'd be curious to hear from their standpoint. Like, you know, all right, we've already seen this guy twice in the matter of, you know, 10 days. You know, like that probably changes things from an offensive standpoint for sure.
How were you feeling? Game 7, Game 4.
Uh,
How was your arm? How was your?
I mean, I think that, like, in the moment, the adrenaline takes over and you're fine. After the fact, I mean, it took me a week to be able to get off the couch. But,
How are the drugs? Like what?
I didn't actually do anything crazy. I had taken a Toradol shot prior to the postseason that year.
Okay.
Just because I was like, might
Yeah,
need it.
let's
I
go.
want to see how it goes.
Yeah.
And I hated it.
You hated it.
Hated it. I couldn't feel my legs on the mound. Like, couldn't feel like myself through my delivery, all that kind of stuff. And I was like, this isn't for me.
So you tried this for the first time before?
I tried it prior to the playoffs, not in the playoffs. But I actually had, I think my last start of the year, I tweaked something in my knee, and they wanted me to wear this knee brace, and I'm warming up for the first game against the Red Sox in the bullpen, and the brace did not agree with me. My knee felt like it was going to explode in the brace, and I cut my warm up short by 10 pitches. Went downstairs, undressed, got scissors, cut the thing off, and I was like, all right, let's roll. I can't wear this thing. Yeah.
Wow.
That's wild.
That is crazy.
All right, brother. Well, we appreciate you coming.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, you super proud of you. Can't wait to watch these next 15 years, getting a world championship, a couple world championships
Multiple,
in New York. But
That'd be sick.
you've earned it, bro. You operate different than 99.9% of people your age, and it's gonna be a fun decade ahead watching you fucking crush it, bringing a championship back to New York.
Hell
So,
yeah.
Casa De Klub episode 1, baby.
Yeah, guys.